Dear unexpected entrepreneurs, this podcast is for you. Whether you have an idea, are starting or scaling up, this is the place for those who have already walked your path to share their top 3 pieces of advice to you, our unexpected entrepreneurs. Summit is here to champion unexpected entrepreneurs. Those folks who are experts in their sector and have ambitious goals to innovate. Their goal wasn't always to build a business, but to fill a need and improve the sector they're passionate about. Today, we have the pleasure of being joined by Chris Schutrups. And Chris, why don't you give us, I was close. Chris, why don't you give us an introduction about yourself?
No, I think you did it great. I've been called much worse. So, Chris Schutrups, I am the founder of a business called The Mortgage Hut, which is based in Southampton, dealing nationally with customers across the UK, around about 3,000 to 4,000 customers a month. I also have more recently been out in the Middle East, working in Dubai, running the largest mortgage business in the Middle East. So we were across 9 countries, owned by a $1 billion tech business, a little bit like Rightmove here. And then more recently, maybe through, I don't know if it's a midlife crisis but I am owner of a number of hospitality venues, from pubs through to restaurants, and interest in other different hospitality businesses as well. So yeah, a bit of a varied experience. I'm still in my 30s, so I'm pretty young, but yeah, that is me.
Amazing. So that's like 3 sizable, sections of work of what you're doing. The Mortgage Hut obviously being, extremely successful and busy. How did things start off for you? Like, what was the reasoning behind starting your own thing rather than staying in London or kind of working in the city sort of thing?
Well, I think you've got to go back to actually when I was at school. I went to a relatively normal school. My first business I remember was selling. I bought these things off of eBay. They were called phone boosters, and you used to stick them. I've got a phone here now, and you can't access the battery, but you used to be able to take the battery out, and you put this little sticker behind it, and it boosts your signal. And I would buy them at 1p off of eBay, and I'd sell them for 50p at school. And I give the guy, and I realised I had a limited capacity on what I could sell during my lunch break. So then I would give my resellers, I think we might call this multi-level marketing now, but I'd give my resellers 25p, and I'd take the remainder. And so that was my first business. And then I went on to web hosting. So I bought this server space actually off of eBay, and it was £10 a month, and I had unlimited web hosting. And when I did this, everyone's like, well, what's web hosting? I use AOL for my emails. And, for those old enough, and I'm just old enough, you remember the dial-up where you either had the telephone at home or you had the internet. You didn't have both. Yeah. And you didn't have mobiles. And so we used to divide it up and sell it for £4 a month for your website. And then we built it and built it and built it. And I was about 14, 15, and I had managed to build it to £300-400 a month, which was a huge amount of money for me at the time, because I couldn't eat that amount of sweets all at once. And so I sold that to my friend. And that was the start of my interest in business. I then went and worked for HSBC in the call center. And actually, I was kicked out of college in the first year because I talked too much and I was too social. And they said, you know what, after 3 months, they're like, go have some fun, come back in a year's time. So my dad, being a very stern Dutchman, said to me, look, you got to go get a job. So I worked for HSBC in the call center. I was top out of 300 people. And then I went to work in the city. And I came back, and I was a stockbroker there. I came back just as the market crashed in 2008. Got into mortgages, and actually a chap from Romsey, where we own one of the businesses, taught me into starting a mortgage brokerage. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to be driving a Bentley before I know it. 21-year-old Chris thinking, this is brilliant. This is going to be amazing. I'm definitely going to have the nicest car and have the most fun. And then I realized that business was a little bit harder than I thought, I guess.
My first business was also web hosting. So yeah, I had the same thing. I had a reseller account.
We could have done a merger.
We should have done a merger. Could have been, two 15-year-olds merging their businesses together. It would have made the Daily Echo.
We would have been like the new Google.
So how is your time split now? Because obviously you mentioned three things there. You mentioned Dubai. Kind of how do you split your time? Because your wife is now the managing director at the Mortgage Hut, and you've stepped more into a founder role. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, I came back from Dubai and I thought to myself, I'd spent 3 years there. I was lucky enough to work in, a really great tech business. I really loved it. That my CEO of the group was a very inspirational person, allowed me to run the business. When I went to go and do the job in Dubai, I thought to myself, well, I've worked for 10 years by myself. I'm pretty much unemployable.
Yeah.
And so I started the job in Dubai, and it was more a test for me to see. I was a little bit bored where I was. The business was sort of doing well, but I wasn't willing to grow it to the next level, take the risk. I was a little bit concerned about where the economy was going. And so I was given a business there that was, had its challenges for sure, but had a lot of potential. And my boss allowed me to run it like it was my own business, as long as I stayed within the budgets. And, I had a great team of people. I loved it. I enjoyed it. COVID struck, life changed, I guess. And so I came back in May 2021. And I thought, you know what, I'm only going to do what I enjoy. That's what the fun of starting up a business was about. Do what you love. And that's one of my lessons today. And so I came back, started the hospitality, decided actually this is great fun, seeing customers happy. And so, yeah, it's been an interesting journey.
Nice. That's a lot of fun. And so I think that leads nicely into the lessons you're going to share with us today. So take it away. What's your first lesson, Chris?
Yeah, well, I guess my first lesson was, if you have a good idea and you're willing to work hard, it's actually very hard to fail. And so when I started the mortgage business, I had no clients. I didn't have a lot of money, but I had a lot of passion and I had quite a bit of stubbornness as well. And so, for sure, what I know is, and what is clear, whatever business you do, is if it was easy, everyone would do it. That's the truth. Honestly, there's no easy. We're in a world where Instagram. And I'm pretty heavy on social media across our businesses. I'm a bit of a propaganda spreader, if you like. But we can look at social media now, and people in front of the Bugattis and with their expensive watches, and it's like, oh, this could be you. It's so easy. And actually, the truth is, when I was a stockbroker, I learned very simply. And this is a really great lesson. Whether you're in business, whether you're not in business, if it sounds too good to be true, it normally is. And as humans, our greed allows us to think, well, it does sound too good to be true, but it does sound good. And that's how people get scammed. If you look at any, we all have Netflix and Amazon. And if you look at the programs about where people do scam, whether it be, I'm just thinking off the top of my head now, but Firefest as the example, there's a documentary about that, or you look at others, actually it plays on a core thing, which is greed. And so what I learned early on was business will work if you have a great idea or a great product and you work hard, and even now I probably work 12 plus hours every single day, but it's because I love it. And that's one of my later lessons, but I absolutely love it. And so if you enter business and you've got a great idea and you're willing to roll up your sleeves, then you're going to succeed. I have zero doubts. And that's the truth. Yeah. Where people fail is because they come in and they think, oh, I've got this great idea and it's going to be super easy. Well, I can tell you with very few exceptions that we can talk about with finger on the hand, even if we look at someone like Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook. I'm not lucky enough to have even seen this guy before, let alone know him. But what I do know is it probably was an exceptionally hard journey to get where he wanted to be.
Mm. With the hard work and the dedication and the sacrifice as part of that, do you feel that the success of the Mortgage Hut was somewhat possible because you were young and you were able to dig in before you maybe had other responsibilities around family and maybe that sort of thing. And I'm not sure of your home situation, but like I found it easier to work late and really kind of grind away on hours and take weekends for work if I needed to when I was in my early 20s compared to now when I have a 3-year-old. Like that would be more challenging now for me to do. And it's not the sort of thing I want to be doing now, but back then seemed fun. Do you kind of have any thoughts on that? Because like, I imagine if you started the Mortgage Hut from a blank slate right now, it'd be a slightly different story.
I think, I'm lucky enough now that I invest in quite a few businesses and I speak to a lot of people with ideas. And one thing that comes across very regularly is people say, well, it's not the right time. And actually the truth is there is never a right time to do business. You know, that's the truth. Like you never get to that perfect point where you're like, it's like sailing a boat. There's the, perfect winds or perfect weather. It just doesn't come. And so when I started the Mortgage Hut, I had a pregnant girlfriend. I was in a rented house. I'd gone from a job that had paid me relatively well, and suddenly I was earning £200 a month. The truth is, like in business, whether you're a brand new entrepreneur or whether you're running a business that you've run for 30 years, the times when you generally will perform the best is when you've got your face to the flame. When you're really under pressure, when you're really feeling that. Actually, the times when I've performed worst in the businesses is when I've got financial stability, when it's relatively easy, and you sort of think, when I was there thinking, and genuinely with the start of the Mortgage Hut, I used to get paid all of our income as a business on a Wednesday. On a Monday, I used to go to my parents' house to get bread to eat. I swear, that's the honest truth. Like, I was so poor. I was filling up like £5 in my Ford Fiesta at the petrol station. That's how tough it was. And that's the point where either you say, you know what, I can get 35 grand a year working for someone. And that was back then. Or you say, you know what, screw this. I am not going to fail at this. I'm not going to be the one that looks people in the eye and they go, oh, well, by the way, what happened with that? And you're like, oh, it didn't go right. And that's the point, actually, where most people who are watching this, who are thinking about a business idea, they'll think, should I try it? Shouldn't I try it? The truth is, you should get up tomorrow and just give it a go, because you will never find the right time, and you shouldn't be worried. The thing that motivated me was I wasn't worried about the failure. Like right now, even in life, I don't worry about failure, because if I lost everything tomorrow, and some of the best people that I know, some of the richest people that I know who are worth billions, failed in their 30s. And so I'm not worried whatsoever. What I know is if I woke up tomorrow and it didn't go right, one, I've treated all of my team members how I want to be treated, and two, I gave it a bloody good go. And then, I'll go at it again. So, and that's what limits people when they're trying to start businesses. They say, oh, what if? Oh, wouldn't it be embarrassing? Who cares? Just get up, do it, make it work.
Also, I liked the fact that you said hard work, not long hours. Those two things don't have to mean the same thing. Sometimes they do, sure thing. But this idea of hustle culture, you mentioned the idea of Instagram famous business folk, that's just all a load of crap, really, isn't it? Ultimately, working hard is doing the smart thing, making good decisions, and all of those kind of thing. And I think so many times I see it in software and developers. If we just work through the night and get this feature out, it will change the business. It's not going to. You need to be sustainable, and burnout comes out at you so hard, and there is nothing that shouts less than working hard than being burnt out and hating what you're doing. That's not a place to breed productive work. So it's getting that fine line, isn't it, between I'm working hard and I'm really going for this, or I'm just at the office just to say that I'm at the office, to say that I've worked 18 hours today. That doesn't achieve anything for anyone, does it?
It's quality over quantity. I used to work directly and manage tech teams, and actually, There's no point in trying to achieve like a goal, like for the sake of like just like driving the metrics. It's about working smarter. I used to be lucky enough to work alongside a chap who, he would come up with so many great app ideas, and he would say, I've got this app idea for, this Christian app, and I'd be like, bloody hell, and he came for it. And then eventually, actually, I knew that he was going to do well when I in Dubai, I had a driver. So I got in my car one day, and the driver was using this app that he had created. And it was a very basic app, but my driver was using it. And I thought, bloody hell, my driver knows about it. And then I got that. The next day I flew back to the UK and I saw my daughter. And my daughter was using the same app. 4,500 miles apart, and I thought, oh Jesus, he's onto something. And actually, he sold the app for, a lot of money, did very well. But actually, he did it because he enjoyed it. And so, whether you work in a tech team, I guess as a manager, I used to be the managing director of a tech fintech business, but I also took the role as the product manager of that fintech business. And I did that because I wanted to be close to it. I wanted to understand how it worked. And, my team members, I know my product leads and, my developer colleagues, took my enthusiasm and our vision and worked together. But, it is about sometimes, for sure it's about quality over quantity, and it's about knowing what you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve and following that vision.
Oh, I could have a whole conversation with you here about the benefits of someone in design or someone in product development or product manager being in that managerial role over someone in sales or someone in, the FD. That's a whole long conversation I'm sure we could go into maybe over a beer one day. But yeah, I feel very strongly that somebody close to the product has to be championing the business, because otherwise marketing and sales make decisions which don't make the best reflection on the business, on the product. And the product's the reason why everyone's there. So
and that sort of leads nicely into my second point, which is actually don't be scared to fail. When we used to look at the product we were trying to develop, it was because I was relatively close to what actually customers wanted, and we did lots of focus groups on what our customers used the product for and how they used it. You create a culture where, if we don't get it right, if we A/B test this or we deploy it and it doesn't work, and we've spent 4 weeks on it, it doesn't matter. But the secret to, and I'm very inexperienced, don't get me wrong in tech, but the secret to successful tech is being agile and being able to say, you know what, that idea, we thought it'd work, it didn't, let's move on, and sometimes, you're a little bit too far away from the end consumer and understanding how they actually work.
Yeah. And I think, I think a part of that is having a team where you can have those honest conversations and go, look, Sally, John, we tried that idea. It didn't work. Here's why. And you have that trust and relationship with your team where you go, actually, that wasn't a good idea. Let's put our egos aside and move on, rather than the highest paid person in the room hanging on to this idea just because it's their, it's their passion project. And you have to be able to put your ego aside and go, that didn't work. Let's move on. Because otherwise, you just get egos driving the decisions.
And I always look at, I'm lucky enough that I have some friends who have had some real big successes in tech. And sometimes actually there's two things. One, the idea can be right. You can just be a little bit early to the party. That's very true. If I think about where we are both relatively, you and I live relatively local to each other on a high street not too far away from us, maybe about 20 years ago, someone put up a sign and said, sell your house for £500. And we put it on the website. This is before Rightmove.
Yeah.
And actually, it absolutely flopped, because consumers were like, what? Yeah, no, you've got to put our house in the property papers. The local paper, we need our house. If it's not in the local paper, how is our house going to sell? Now you flip it round, okay? And I have some friends who floated a $1 billion business like this. The truth is, it was just a little bit too early to the market, because actually nowadays, if I'm going to sell my house and a estate agent comes out and one of them says, look, we're going to list it on Rightmove and we're going to put it on Booming, which is a great new platform as well. And, we're going to put it here and here and here. I'd be like, brilliant, that's great. Look at the amount. And if a local agent came around and said, well, we're going to stick it on a bit of cardboard and we're also going to stick it in the local paper, I'll literally be like, oh my God, I'm never going to get the best price. And so sometimes actually ideas are great, but consumers aren't ready for them. Is the truth. Like, and you can come up with great ideas and you think this is going to work. And when you test it in the real world, it doesn't quite work for various reasons, but it's about creating a culture where collaboration's key. Collaboration is key, and being able to speak up as colleagues. I always refer to myself and my colleagues. I'll never be like, because actually the secret to my success in my very small businesses that we have, is that we work as a team. I learn off of a very clever person who led me that if you're the most clever person in the room, you've already got a problem. And so I have much more talented. My job is to go out and talk and, do what I'm good at. But actually, like, the people who work alongside me are probably much more capable in their own roles than I'll ever be.
We have the same job. Yeah. My first hire at Steadfast was a better developer than I was. And then we recently took on a better ops person than I could be. And now my job is to talk and make sure the team are happy, which I can do both of those things quite well. So, yeah.
and I had a business coach a long time ago. And he said to me, your job running a business is very simple. You're the chief storyteller. And that's the truth. And it's about showing where we're going, what we're trying to achieve. I'm lucky enough that I work in some fast-paced businesses that we have, and the team members see what we're doing. We're all about the customer experience, what the customer gets. And the truth is, if you focus a business on customer outcomes and customer experience, the end goal, probably, if you've got it right, is that you make money. But everyone wants to work for a company that wants to put the customer first. Who wants to work for a company that makes the investors rich?
Yeah. I like the way you said that, because like a mortgage is pretty dry, but someone getting their first house or their dream house, that's a much more compelling story, right? And buying a house is one of the most stressful things you can do, right? But if you can remove layers of that stress, it's taking what is a dry, stressful thing, and you can transform that. So there's almost layers you can do on top of that, because you've kind of got a base product you're working with, right? That, mortgages are never going to get, it's not never going to be a super sexy product. It's an outcome, isn't it?
And this is what I used to say to the advisors, is that actually mortgages in the financial industry, and I've been a bank manager for NatWest, RBS. I've been a stockbroker. Mortgages are the one product that you're not selling the mortgage. You're selling yourself. You come to a member of, say, the team at the Mortgage Hut. You're not buying that NatWest mortgage. What you're buying into is the advisor who can make that dream house a reality.
So true. That's so true.
That's what it is. And even like I visited very briefly today one of our hospitality venues, and I said in jest, but I mean it. I said to one of our waiting colleagues there, I said, look, make sure today you make our customers' dreams a reality. And that's the truth, whether they're coming in to buy a house, to buy a burger, to buy something else. Like, actually, it's just about customers leaving feeling good and feeling like they got value.
My parents met in hospitality. My dad was a chef and my mum was head waitress. And my mum always says, whenever we have bad customer service at a restaurant, she'll always remind me, good customer service can make up for a bad product. A great product's never going to make up for good customer service. If your waiter or waitress is just the grumpiest, most miserable person on earth, doesn't matter how great that burger was. But if you have a crappy burger, that waiter or waitress can definitely make your day and can make it up to you.
Yeah. And that's and if you strip that back, the truth is it's about the team that you have. It's about them being passionate. It's about them loving, in any business, whatever business you're in, if you're a leader that says we get it right every time, you're an idiot, because we don't get it right every time. And we're in a lucky position where across any business, you know, if I look at the Mortgage Hut, we've got 2,000 and a bit positive reviews online. If I look at the pub in Romsey, we're number one on TripAdvisor as a pub. In Hursley, we're number one. In Southampton, in one of our restaurants, we've gone from 550th 12 weeks ago to we're now like 18th. And wow. We're in an environment where we can easily get customer feedback. We can understand what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, you know, but it is about empowering your team members it's that chief storyteller thing again, okay? If you show your team who you're working with, your colleagues, and you say, look, this is what we're trying to achieve. This is what we're striving for. This is where we're going. And then they believe in that, and they also have the same dream and vision as you do. And they tell that to the customers. You know what? If we get the mortgage slightly wrong, you know, and we do something slightly wrong, but we sort it out, or, you know, your burger comes out with fat fries instead of thin fries. You know, if you're smiling, it's that old thing, you know, when whatever company I've run, I've always said to people who are new in the business, I've said, look, if you make a mistake, don't worry, just smile. People will forgive you.
Yeah. And people can hear the smile, can't they, over the phone? It's amazing how you can tell if someone on the phone is not enjoying their day. You can hear it.
Of course.
We always, it is amazing for that. Chris, let's go on to your third and final lesson.
I guess, you know, something that comes with, like, I'm still on a journey. Like, I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, you know, this is what I've learned. Because every day I wake up and try and, like, I'm probably my own toughest critic, okay, in what I do. You know, my wife will tell you I'm always thinking, oh, I could have got this right, or I'll reflect on a situation that doesn't go quite how I wanted to, and I'll say, I could have done this different. And that's a great thing. But, you know, you've always got to back yourself. And when I started the businesses, I was always looking for a partner or someone to do it with, or, you know, let's do this together. And that was my safety blanket, really. But the truth is, I wake up every day across all the businesses, and I know that we're going to do well. Are we going to get right every time? No. But do I know that I back myself, you know, going back to point one, okay, how hard do you work? I get up every morning at like 6 a.m., okay? I'm not like in the gym at 6 a.m. I'm not like doing weights. I'm not like the 4 a.m. club. I wake up and I roll over and I get my phone and I go through my WhatsApps and I go through my emails and I get in the shower and then I drop the kids to school. So I'm not like this early, but I wake up every morning and you know what? I love it. And the lesson I've learned so far on my journey is I only want to do stuff that I enjoy. But it's important that you back yourself, okay? Because that's the number one key to success. And especially my defining single role across all the businesses really is sales. Whether it be marketing to sell, to bring customers in, whether it be, you know, going out to win new contracts, whether it be dealing with customers themselves, you know, making them feel as special as I feel they are in the business. My role is sales. And, you know, it's about backing yourself, you know, knowing that you can do it and having confidence. Because one of my first bosses said to me in sales, he said, Chris, sales is simple. It is just simply transfer of enthusiasm from one person to another. And that's the truth. But when you believe in a product, and it is true. And every salesperson who works across our businesses, I will tell them that because I believe it. You can't talk to me in a normal environment where I love a product and not go away excited. I have one of those personalities where I just love it. And so, you know, you've got to
even just someone like behind the bar. You know, we've got this new IPA in. It's great. You've got to try it. Like, it's amazing how quick that you're like, oh, this is this person likes it. I want to be part of that. Oh, maybe I should watch the chef special. And it snowballs, doesn't it? That enthusiasm. And I guess also as well, like when you are able to bring on those A-team players into, say, one of your venues or, you know, into a sales room or whatever, it kind of must make everyone kind of sit up and go, oh, I need to up my game a little bit. Like maybe I should be. It's infectious, isn't it, across the team as well as just towards the people you're selling to.
I think, like, I'm probably the example where, you know, you probably don't want me in all of the businesses all of the time because I always make the joke about my poor wife has to live with me all the time. And but actually I walk in to the businesses and I love it. I genuinely, honestly, money doesn't motivate me. I know if I get it right, money will be the byproduct of the success. But actually, I walk in, I love it, and I love the team members we have. I love seeing them happy. I love them. You talked about the product, whether it be, when we deploy the new feature on our app in the Middle East, and we're like, oh my God, how's this going to, when we're doing the A/B testing, like literally looking and seeing how it's going to, and as a team, knowing we collaborated to make that a success, or whether it be, as you say, like in one of the pubs where, the chefs, one of our restaurants, for example, we put, including some contributions from the landlord, we put about £800,000 into it before we opened the door. And it was a 3-month build. And believe it or not, this is honestly true, I promise you, I hadn't tasted any of the food until 2 days before we opened. By then, all my money was in. But again, it was like, and it was, but again, it's about fun and experience, and we tasted it and we tried it and we saw the end product, and it was so exciting. And, whether you're a team member in a business or whether you're an entrepreneur starting a business, I think it's important to find something that does excite you. And I may be broken in the fact that I love what we do here, but I honestly, it's that old thing, and we've all heard it, and it's a bit of a cliche, but if you do something you enjoy, you don't work a day in your life. And honestly, that's true of my life, is the truth.
Chris, I'm excited for your businesses. I want to come work for you. So
thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
Chris, could you do me could you just wrap up your 3 points, give us the titles of them, and then we'll get things closed up.
Yeah. So, the first one I put as a great concept and hard work equals success. So, if you have something and you're willing to work hard, it's hard to fail. The second thing is, don't be scared to fail. I didn't mention this in there, but I always said a fact about Angry Birds, where the guys who made Angry Birds had to make 52 apps that failed first. And so don't be scared to fail. We live in the UK where failure is always a bit of a thing. But in the US, you haven't really made it until you've failed.
Sure.
And then the third thing is always back yourself. It doesn't matter what people say around you, what people believe, back yourself, because if you can't back it, then no one else can.
I love it. And amazing. So Chris, if anyone's got any questions or they want to come eat at one of your venues or get a mortgage, where can people find you online?
So I'm on, probably the easiest place to find me is LinkedIn, Chris Schutrups. It's SCHUTRUPS. Look me up on LinkedIn. The truth is I love speaking to people. Hopefully you've taken from this that I actually enjoy what I do. If I can help anyone, if I can offer any guidance, if you want to come try our food, let me know. If you need a mortgage, but actually, just thank you for listening.
Amazing. Perfect. Thanks for being a guest. And we'll be back next week with another guest for our podcast. Thanks very much.